Hello and welcome to another modelling video. This is Alan from the Makata Man at YouTube with another model video. Today this one is sponsored by Super Cheap Auto in Australia, a chain of automotive shops that sell paints, products, car parts, all that sort of thing. And they got in contact with me after noticing I use a lot of their products in my videos and wish me to review a few things. They sent some freebies a while ago, and this is the first video. The Septone top coat acrylic clear, 1 litre, made in Australia, and my choice of thinner, the premium acrylic thinner. It's just your lacquer thinner with added retardant. A little more expensive than your standard thinner, but at about 4 litres at around the $30–40 mark. This lasts me quite a while, a few years in airbrush sessions. I flush out my airbrush, soak it, as well as thin all my paints with this product, and it sort of doesn't really turn to spider webs. It works quite well. So in conjunction with this clear paint, this thinner, and some Mr. Hobby mild retardant, we're going to mix ourselves a little bit of clear paint that's airbrush ready. Hobby paints are all good and fine. The lacquers are just like your industrial lacquers, your automotive lacquers. The theory that it dissolves or does damage to plastic is absolute nonsense. In some cases of Bandai kits it can get a bit fragile and soften some fine pegs and detail. Just allow it to harden up and it's strong again. It's more the issue with the kit than the paint. I've got myself a shot glass with measuring directions down the side up to 10mm, an empty jar of paint, and I'm going to be mixing a little bit of gloss clear so I don't have to buy the branded stuff. Now this huge tin you can also buy in primers, your primary colours, black and white, and if you really wanted to cut costs, you keep mixing paints until you have all your desired colours. You cut it with the thinner, and you add a bit of retardant if you want it to slow down in drying. Now if you wanted to mix something that's the consistency of Mr. Colour, Gaia Note, it's about 50-50 paint to 50-50 thinner. If you want it airbrush ready, then it's 25% paint, 75% thinner. So using this cup, I've got the measurements here, 2.55mm, and with the spoon I'm just gonna spoon it in. It's nothing too special, and I just fill it up until I hit that 2.5 line. Close the lid and I keep my contaminated spoon on top. I've been doing a lot of clean wet gloss finish kits, which requires a lot of clear coating, a lot of polishing, cutting, sanding and clear coating again. So I've been going through container sizes like this on almost 2 containers on a weekly basis, which is absolutely ridiculous. So we've got 2.5mm in our little shot glass, and generally with retardant you only want it to be about 10% of the mix. So all we're going to do is probably get it up about to the 1mm level, and I'm completely have run out, so that worked out quite well. Also sold as these really handy squeeze thinner jars. I just thin it with fill it up with lacquer. It doesn't really evaporate. You squeeze it slightly and it just gives you enough droplets for mixing paint, measuring, all that sort of stuff. So slight squeeze and you can see that it's starting to fill up. So going back to our measurements, we're going to fill it right up to the 10mm mark, measured by eye, and with a clear stirrer mix. We keep mixing until the thinner, the retardant and the clear paint is all together. To test the consistency, we're moving around. It's quite thick. It's sort of like skim milk or the consistency of water. It leaves a little bit of residue of clear paint on the side, though most of it goes back. we fill it up our little container. So it fills up quite nicely, and we're ready to test it via airbrush. So we've filled up a cup. This is a standard 0.3mm airbrush. So it should be the right consistency to spray. And it's spraying absolutely beautifully, not interrupting the dried paint it is on my paint jar, and going straight on clear plastic, or straight plastic if you're just top coating a plastic surface, or if you're going on a painted surface. It sprays on quite beautifully, and you can see that there's a bit of a sheen that's different from the gloss sheen of the foot and the plastic sheen. We'll do a zoom in. See that? That's that nice wet look high gloss sheen. Just very cheap automotive gloss top coat for cars. And on the other side, that's your frosted plastic sheen. Very, very quick to dry. It shouldn't be any problems. A bit too quick where the retardant and the premium thinner comes in play. There is a regular thinner. It dries a bit quicker, though I just find the premium thinner to be far more superior in this setup and operation of an airbrush. So we've got a large surface. We're painting a Volkswagen van, and this is where things like overspray and orange peel could be a problem. But with the mix of the clear paint, the thinner and whatnot, we could do quite a nice wet coat. So that's just double layered. We did it in one panel. We wait a bit for the air pressure to build up, the paint to settle. Coat number 2. Number 3. And you can see that it's not too applied thick. The paint's not running. There's no imperfections. It's operating quite nicely. Let's colour in the rest of this vehicle. And there you go. Applied beautifully. This particular paint does dry incredibly quick to the touch. I wouldn't handle it for many hours to be absolutely safe. 24 hours, and then you can touch it, handle it, mask it, buff, sand, whatever you want to do. So there are a couple of dust lumps here and there, so I'm definitely going to hit it with the 2000 and polish it up, put another clear coat and polish it again before decals and other work. But for automotive and your clear coat stuff, absolutely perfect. And just for top coating and all matter of other effects, absolutely ideal. If you want a matte effect, you can actually buy matting pigment or matte base by Mr. Hobby, Guy Notes. All you have to do is put a drop of that in one of these Mr. Hobby size 10mm jars. Cut it with 50% more thinner, and you've got yourself either a satin effect or a matte effect. You'll have to apply, play and adjust to get exactly what you want. If you're painting with actual full pigmented paints, the formula I gave of 50% 50-50 paint and thinner to be a nice hand painting consistency, or 75 thinner 25% paint or primer to be ideal for airbrushing. Be careful, the primer could have built-in micro filler and may need a little more thinner, and over time it will sort of harden up and evaporate a bit, so you'll need to touch up the actual large 1 litre container with thinner as time goes on, as it becomes more thickened or almost into a solid putty state. Each of these surfaces have received 2 wet coats 2 times and no serious issues. Very nice finish. Most of these, this is the last of the painting that will occur. Again, thank you very much to Super Cheap Auto head office for giving me this product to review, the Septone Top Coat Clear. Anyone in Australia can come across a Super Cheap Auto and buy this with the premium acrylic thinner, which is pretty much a lacquer thinner. If you happen to live overseas or completely different markets, there's similar automotive shops, hardware shops, where you can find a different product or mix and experiment as you see fit. It will require a bit of testing before you apply it on your model, But for those in Australia, this is absolutely safe to roll straight away. Keep an eye on their website and catalogs and whatnot. They do some very nifty sales and 20 or 30% off days and all these other things. So yeah, maybe something worth to subscribe to the website or something. Thank you very much for watching. As always, until next time, stay tuned for further content. Bit of a tidbit at the very end of the video. The reason why Super Cheap Auto found me, and I do use a lot of their products, is I'm an ex-employee. When I was in high school, I used to work at the store, got a bit of a staff discount. It was the most affordable airbrush, paints and products I could get my hands on. Catch you guys next time.